everybody, to Friday evening. Welcome to PEMA TV.
Well, now you took my stuff.
What? I didn't. Welcome to October 17th, 2014, at 9 o'clock Eastern.
8 o'clock Central.
8 o'clock Central. 5 o'clock if we're, what is it, 6 o'clock if you're on the other coast, right?
6, in California.
Yeah. But that's outside the U.S. If you're in California, you're outside the U.S. anyway, right?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Okay. Hope everybody had a great week. It's been a week.
Really?
It's been a week. It's been a week. This week. As always, PEMA TV and PEN is powered by
Metaluna Boutique and Stones in Gladewater, Texas. Yes, it's a boutique and a stone shop.
Is there anything else inside of there that people might be interested in? High fashion items, possibly?
Well, that or smudge sticks, or right now we have handmade fashion Halloween masks.
Is it spooky in there?
It is. And the strangest thing is more people come in to see if they can buy my spider web that I have outside than anything else right now.
And about the only event that we really have coming up in a couple of, and believe it or not, it's just in a couple of weeks, is History, Haunts, and Legends.
In Jefferson, Texas.
In Jefferson, Texas. Once again, we've been asked to come down there. I think we're speaking. Are we speaking?
Yep, we're speaking.
What are we talking about? Stuff?
History, Haunts, and Legends.
We're talking about History, Haunts, and Legends.
That's right.
On. Can't wait. Selena Rowan will be there. Martha Decker will be there.
Stephen LaChance.
Mr. Stephen
Dakota
LaChance.
Lawrence. Kathy Nance.
Will Dr. Rita Louise be joining us?
Absolutely.
Mitchell Whittington will be there?
Yes.
Awesome. We'll get to see the whole gang then. But you guys didn't hear about our future plans in 2 weeks.
But before, we'd like to send prayers out to a few people.
Yeah.
Our friend Luann lost not only her baby dog yesterday, but also an aunt. Yep. And our friends Eddie and Ruth are heading out tomorrow because his sister isn't given.
Yeah. She's very, very close.
But a few hours.
Yeah, they're all in transition, and it's tough. It's not easy at all. But they're in our prayers and love them to death. But with that
said and
done, tonight we are joined by Tiffani-Beth and Denny Gager, who are owners and operators of DTM Wicked Radio. Tiffani-Beth, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Well, if I was a puppy, I'd need 2 tails.
You're so weird.
But, you know...
Tails?
Yeah, I'm so happy I couldn't shake that one tail fast enough. I'd have to have 2 tails to keep up with all the happiness.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
You guys, you and Denny have... You mirror Kim and I in a lot of ways. And by that I mean we're both couples owning and operating these large networks, and on the internet you get over 5 or 6 shows together. You're doing something.
I'm sorry, what did Lisa say?
Well, I was just saying you get more than 5 or 6 shows together. Just keeping that herd going and focused in one direction. That you accomplished something.
Well, thank you so much. It feels like we have some days, and then some days it feels like, what have we done?
Yeah.
I don't know if you had those days too. Sometimes you're just like, what were we thinking? But yeah, we have a lot of amazing shows. And as you guys know, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's not easy. You know, I think a lot of people think it's so easy to just start up your own internet radio station because it's internet. And it's not. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's a lot of communication and things like that. It's not easy.
Yeah, and then people just don't quite... A lot of people are starting, I think, to see it, but it takes a lot of effort to have fill in content every week.
Mm-hmm.
To do a radio show, or in the case of PEN, all our stuff is video. So to fill a video show either with graphics or talk or whatever, it's not as easy as people think.
Well, and then you've got the last minute no shows or
Oh yeah.
cancellations, and then you're in a major scramble to get that filled in.
But that's also that's also the sign of the true professionals are the people that just keep going no matter what happens.
Oh yeah.
Hey, we went through.
Oh, yeah.
We kept going through a tornado, so.
Yeah, until the tornado took out our power. But just so folks know, and I'm just going to read off 6 or 7 shows here. You've got the Wicked Edge, Nerdgasm, Sisterhood, Let's Talk Ghost, Into the Unknown Realm, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. I mean, you guys have got all kinds of programming over there. How many total shows do you guys have over there?
Oh my gosh! Well, Nerdgasm is no longer on our network. They decided to kind of do their own thing, which is awesome. We wish them nothing but the best. I love those girls. We have, and now we just added on. Before I tell you the total of our shows, we just added on System of the Down's bassist Shavo Odajane. He'll be doing shows on Saturday nights from 9 to 11 Eastern Standard Time, 6 to 8 Pacific Standard Time. And he had on George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelics. He's going to have on a couple of the Beastie Boys. And so we just added on that show. So that's like, whew. We have, holy bananas, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We have about 22 shows.
Nice. And you guys are producing all of those?
We produce all but 1, 2, 3, 4, all but 4 of them.
Yeah, I know how that goes. So the live shows I have over here, I'm actually producing everything, so I know the feeling.
It's a lot of work. I mean, there's times when your friends are like, "Hey, let's go out to dinner," and we're like, "No, unless you want to bring it to our house, which is also our studio, which I'm sure is the same for you. Like, unless you want to come to us, we really can't do much." I mean, it's sacrifice, but it's also like what makes it worth it for me is for my show specifically. And we do get a lot of other positive feedback for other shows. People write me, they're like, "Oh God, I love your show. It makes me laugh. I was having such a bad day, and you made me laugh. Your guests made me laugh. Thank you so much." And I'm like, okay, this is why I do what I do.
Yeah. Kim and I, part of the inspiration, and tell me if you agree with this. Part of the reason too, while Kim and I started Para Encounters Network, was because people were not getting the right information out there either. Yeah.
You need paranormal information?
Yeah. I mean, and then once you kind of start going down that rabbit hole, you kind of figure out that people are just not getting told the truth about anything. So,
don't get me started.
Yeah.
I don't want to diss any other shows out there, but I have listened to other shows of paranormal. My show particularly is not paranormal. I kind of have a mishmash. But when I do have on paranormal guests, I like things to be accurate. I like things to be, as truthful as it possibly can be. Because in the paranormal, we're still learning, and I get that, and I get nothing is specifically scientific. But it drives me crazy when somebody goes on, and I can get hate mail for this. This is totally fine. Our email is dtmwicked@yahoo.com. I love hate mail. Give it to me. I really hate it when I hear somebody say, "You can totally go in your own home and you can use your Ouija board. You can totally go in your own home and start an EVP session." Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. That makes me really angry because it's completely wrong with that. Because you're telling people that don't have a clue of what to do and how to do things properly to open up their home to things they may not even understand. And that drives me up the freaking wall.
Yeah, I think our biggest, and I'm sure Kim will pipe in if she disagrees with me, but I think the biggest thing we hate is the fear mongering, especially it's using the D word.
Yes.
You know, oh my God, your sugar bowl, it lost a cube. That's got to be a demon.
Oh,
That entire crowd of people makes me. It made me want to pull my hair out. See, I mean, it's crazy.
it makes my blood boil because, you know, what people don't understand, and when I do speak at paranormal conventions, I speak on the psychology of paranormal. And I think parapsychology and psychology is a little different in my aspect of it. The thing with that is, it's like people don't understand, like you plant seeds. And if somebody thinks they already have something in their home, regardless if there really is something or not, a seed's been planted. And people's imaginations don't need any help. They will run wild on their own. It doesn't need any help. But I know people who think everything is demonic. And these people call themselves professional paranormal investigators that do everything top notch. I'm not going to mention any names, but I can't stand it. Because every time I talk to these people, they're like, oh my gosh, I went into this one home and this chair moved. It was totally demonic, the way it moved. And they would say it right in front of the family, right in front of the children. And they would tell me they would. And I'm like, are you out of your effing mind? Seriously? Why would you do that? You know, it drives me up the freaking wall. And so when you do that, not only have they already had a seed planted, you just added to it. And you're giving them more stress. And more stress adds more aggravation. And if there is something there, it could feed off it. And if not, just the mental instability enough. I can go on and on about this subject, but I'm 100% in agreement with you. It drives me up. I just, no.
Well, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I've had people call me, I have a demon, I need someone here. Okay, what's going on? Well, the door's shut. Okay, and what else? Well, I heard footsteps. Okay, has anything touched you? No. Has anything flown across the house? No. Then what exactly makes that demonic?
Right. Yeah, you know, and it's as much as I hate to say it, and I know the shows are for. I've had this beat into my head in the last 3 years. The shows are only for entertainment. Okay, I get that. Movies are only for entertainment. Okay, I get that. But what they don't understand is the backlash that so many, not Kim and I personally, because, and I think you and Denny would fall in this category too. We're so busy doing other things, we don't investigate as much as we used to. We still go out, just not as much as we used to. But what I hate is to hear from all the groups and all the people that we know that every time there's a movie that comes out or there's a show that does something, let's say something spectacular, just to be polite about it. They do something spectacular. There's a huge backlash in the community because the people that are actually out in the trenches doing this day in, day out, they're the ones that have to go in and clean up the mess when everybody thinks that their doll is possessed after Annabelle came out, or it's a demon, or oh my goodness, it never seems to end.
It doesn't. And like, you know, case in point, and I'm not mentioning names, but I'm pretty sure y'all can guess who I'm referring to. There's a specific quote investigator, and I'm putting investigator in quotes because I don't believe this person's a true investigator. But every time this person goes out and everybody watches it on TV, on the Travel Channel, this person claims everything is demonic. And they yell out into the, come and get me, blah, 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 blah. Did you see the way that wind blew? That was a demonic wind. Yep. And so now you have people watching these shows, and then they go, oh my God, the wind blew the way on TV. I have a demon. And they're completely convinced that they have a demon because this person said, because the way that wind blew, it was a demonic wind. And you almost cannot get that person, the client, to come to realization that it's not demonic. And so it just kills me because these people, it's almost like they want something bad like that to happen after watching these shows. And especially people that like that who are ungodly influential in these people, only God knows why.
Yeah, well, and you know, and that's one thing too, maybe that maybe PEN could be more successful if we'd embraced all that. But we made a decision when we started all this. I would rather have fewer intelligent viewers than to have a herd of sheep sitting there watching us every week and on every show. I would rather have very intelligent viewers that come to learn something, to be part of the process, as opposed to just kind of, it's monkey see, monkey do. And you were referring to the triumphant trio, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, our favorite part of the triumphant trio is, did you hear that? They just stated the Gettysburg Address.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As this ghost reads me
I
warm.
can't watch it anymore. I used to be able to watch it before I got into all of the paranormal community. Now I can't. I'm just like, you're so ridiculous. I can't even pay any attention to you anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Be sure and tell Denny this. I think I found a way for all four of us to become millionaires.
Excellent. Are we going to start a brothel?
No. Here, follow me on this. You remember several years ago when you could go and when they had really bad TV shows on and you could buy a foam brick that you could throw at your TV?
Yeah.
We need to get people somebody somewhere to make little foam K2s. And we can sell them to paranormal people. That way when they watch stupid crap happen on the television, they could throw the little foam K2 at the TV. We'd be millionaires.
Yeah, but
millionaires.
But then you would also it would have to be like a yo-yo thing, because then we'd start picking up other stuff to throw at the TV because it's laying over there on the floor.
Well, you'd have to buy multiples.
I see what you're saying with this. Not only can you have a foam K2 meter that you can throw at your TV, but then it promotes exercise. So you're going to have to go get it and come back in order to throw it at the TV again. So it's kind of like, it's a win-win situation. You not only get to make out your frustrations, but you would exercise in a couple minutes.
Hey,
I totally feel you. I get you're wrong with it.
And the foam K2, it would get just as viable results as the real K2.
No, it would not. It would not be able to hold open a window or door.
Well, if you shoved enough of them under the door, it could hold it. Hey, like I'm saying, we'd have to make it cheap. It's a piece of foam. We could probably charge $50.
But you know what? We could make it more expensive if we tell people there's a ghost trapped in the foam K2.
In the foam K2, the haunted foam K2.
Well, that is absolutely as reasonable as
that's right.
as eBay, where they're selling jewelry that they've gone and sailed over the top of the Titanic and sucked the souls of the dead,
souls.
all the lost souls from the Titanic into the jewelry.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that, because I've heard two things that just absolutely, I laughed so hard when my friends brought them up to me. My coworkers know that we are, somewhat part of the paranormal community. And they told me two things this week, and it's funny that we both said him. The first one was that you cannot purchase ghost in a jar on eBay, and it's demonic. Yeah. You can't open it up, you can't anything, and you get a certificate of authenticity, the demon's name, and everything else. How awesome is that? I didn't realize you could do that. I feel like so often at times, if I'd known that before, I could have had a collection. Also, they're now charging for it. They're going to take, quote, water from the ocean where is above the Titanic, where the Titanic sank, and they're selling that because that has ghosts in it as well, spirits of the people who died on the Titanic. So it's interesting that you brought that up.
Well, there aren't a lot of them left, because, the people who were sucking the souls into the jewelry was like 3 years ago. So, they collected quite a few of those souls already.
Well, maybe the souls had babies. You never know what happens.
It could
happen. It could happen. Here, if we're going to play one up, I got one for you. Have you heard about the group from Oklahoma, Tiffani-Beth?
Well, the one that set the place on fire?
Oh, no, that was in Louisiana. No, this is much better.
No, but they were from Oklahoma.
Oh, were they?
Yes, they were.
Well,
most of them.
Well, that explains it. But anyway, there's a group in Oklahoma that they don't even do historical locations. They're only there to, quote-unquote, help people. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They believe that glitter confuses spirits. So people will leave them their house, and they will take glitter and spread glitter around the walls in every room of the house. So you already reached a point where you couldn't understand something and you wanted somebody to come in and help you understand something, and you come back and it looks like the changing room at the local strip joint with glitter everywhere. And anybody that's ever had children knows that glitter is impossible to vacuum up one time.
And it will be stuck to your forehead. It will be stuck to your nose.
Yeah. But that's also the state of the field. I mean, that's what people think we do.
But look at the dark side. If they're music lovers, maybe they'll think the glitter will attract Liberace.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but last I heard he was hanging out with the guys over at the Titanic. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great piano bar on the
right?
Titanic.
They needed a piano player.
I mean, it's just...
That's true.
What's sad is we can sit here for hours and talk about this because this I mean, that's just how it is out there, and it's sad to a certain degree. You know, and we've said this before. If people are thrill seekers, there's nothing wrong with being a thrill seeker or whatever. Do it. Just don't claim to be something you're not, because that's when everything bad starts. Yeah, and don't be an idiot.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I was agreeing with my wife. She said, don't be an idiot. That's harder for some people, but I'm just saying, don't be an idiot. Don't burn the place down.
Well, don't
break into places.
Right. Don't trespass. If the cops show up, don't run off the cliff. There were two teenagers up in the Northeast that, well, there was a whole group of them, but two in particular, they had got in through this gate into a building they weren't supposed to be in, and when the cops got there, they ran out the back and didn't realize exactly where they were and literally ran off a cliff.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but sometimes karma is instant.
Yeah, instant.
You know, sometimes karma is instant. You know, I like to do some thrill thinking. That's totally fine. If I'm going to do thrill thinking, I'm going to do the expense of myself, not at the expense of somebody else. And not at the expense of somebody else's, you know, mental stability and safety. That's just what kills me. Like, and again, send me hate mail after I say this. I really don't care. DTM Wicked at yahoo.com. Tiffani-Beth, hate mail, love it. The more and more, and it's interesting, before I got involved, you know, when I started doing Denny's, when I got involved in the paranormal community, before that I was a spectator. I was a fan of the shows. But the more you get involved in them, the more you realize how much this community is so, am I allowed to swear? Is this family friendly?
Yeah.
This community is so effed up. Like, there's so many fake people. There's so many issues with the community. People want stardom, and they do it at the expense of somebody else. And not only that, the pair shows, and I have a lot of respect for the people that do them, for entertainment volume, you know, I completely get that, but at the same token, we're giving other people a false representation of what we really do. And what we do is we help people, for those of us who don't want stardom. We just want to get safety and so solid and calm, you know, and we try to find answers. And a majority of the care community is not like that at all. And it's really sad. And there's a lot of, well, this person did that and they're fake, and this person said that and they're horrible, or, you know, and there's one particular person who tries to bully people, but I don't think he really can, because I don't see him much as a threat, because he's not. But this person also gives community a terrible, terrible name because of how they conduct themselves. And it's just it's become such a sad community. And I think we've all lost, or a lot of us have lost, the vision of why we got into the community in the first place. But then there's some I really feel never got in the community to help people. That was just a farce in order to try to seek fame, which, I'm sorry, the fame trees have already been taken. They've been taken by Zach and Jason, and even the Warrens. They're taken. No one was ever going to find that type of fame ever. And I think once people realize it, maybe we can get back to square one and grassroots. and do and be pure about everybody's intentions again.
I would agree. But Kim actually coined a phrase a couple of years ago. It's the
Black Suburban Syndrome?
Yep, the Black Suburban Syndrome. Help us stop BSS. Maybe we need to do the BSS Ice Bucket Challenge.
Maybe we do. Well, the Black Suburban Syndrome is basically, oh, I'm doing this to help people. When do I get my show?
Mm-hmm.
What? You don't have a camera crew here? Why not? I'm here. You know.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times, like we have shirts with our paranormal team's logo on them. We have since really dissolved our team, if you will. We still do private investigations, but it's just Denny and I. We no longer have a team because also with teaming, there becomes a lot of issues, and I have a huge pressure on ethics when it comes to that because it's such. I think paranormal is so sensitive. You really have to have your shit together, and you really have to be compassionate to the client. Even if you think they're absolutely bad shit crazy, you have to be compassionate.
That's right.
And you have to conduct yourself as such. And we found that it's very hard to find people like that. So now it's just Denny and I, and, sometimes we go and investigate with Tammy, our friend, or a couple of other trusted friends. It's just a serious case and we know who needs help. But I can't tell you how many times I've gone into Walmart or something and I've had our paranormal sweatshirts on, and they'll be like, oh my God, are you looking for team members? Where's your camera crew? And I'm like, in my back pocket. Yeah, here's my camera, that's my crew. And then they give people such a false sense of what it's really about. It's kind of sad. I mean, I get it for entertainment purposes, it's fine, but there really should be a disclaimer or something saying this is not how it's actually conducted.
Well, and technically they see, if they watch all the shows, they'll see about 20 people a week.
Uh-huh.
And then a random person in that, they have no idea that how many hundreds of thousands of us are actually out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you mentioned, unfortunately, they'll say, well, let me go see if I can find my local team on Facebook. And that's just the beginning of the spiral. That people, it goes downhill from there because we can't even, I know there are actual things called orbs, but 95% of what you see posted on a fuzzy, grainy picture on Facebook is not paranormal. It really isn't. It really isn't. Some of what you'll see out there is interesting and it's debatable. A lot of it, as much as I hate to say it, it's just crap.
It is.
It really is.
It really is. And it's not only for the people who want to be on teams, it also does go for the people who want their 10 minutes of fame to be that family that needs help. Because we've gone to, I always do consultations before we even consider investigating. I do psychiatric evaluations. I do several of them before we even step foot in any investigative way, shape, or form. And there was a couple of times, people were like, well, where's your camera crew? Where's your producer? Shouldn't you have? I'm like, no. We're a small local team. It is just us. We don't have a show. They're like, oh, well, don't you have a psychic? I'm like, that's a copy either. Sorry, it's just us. And they're like, oh. Well, then maybe my problem isn't really that bad. It's just, I get scared. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now I know exactly what you wanted us here for, and I can give you Ghost Hunter's email if you like, but good luck with that. And that's also where it's come down to. Like, it takes something that, other people really need help with, really take seriously, because there's people out there who are really, really think they have activity, whether it scares them or they just want validation. And I feel they're taking, people who just want their 10 minutes of fame to be that family that has that house. It's rude to those who, and it kind of makes a stigma for those who truly do need help.
Yeah, I completely understand that one. We were referred to by a very famous paranormal location. So we went out to do this investigation for him because it was in our area. And the first thing out of their mouth is, oh, she didn't come with you? The lady who runs it. It's like, no, she's like 30 hours away. Oh, well, okay, come in, do the investigation. And they were talking about how terrified their children were to come in the house and, all this kind of stuff. And then as we were talking to them through the night, we found out that their kids spend daily hours at 2 other locations in the neighborhood that are considered more haunted. So if they're spending time there, why are they afraid to go home?
Yeah, exactly. And it's things like that, like, I don't even know how to say it like that. It just goes back to the community and all aspects being so muddied because of the media, really, if you come to bring it full speed. It's the media. And, like, it's so hard to deal with because even, you guys being investigators, us being investigators, we still don't know how to handle it sometimes because it's just like, how do we beat something that's bigger than us? You know what I mean?
Right.
How do you overcome something that's bigger than us and take the community back to, where it started from, which was something pure to help people with? How do you do that?
Well, there's a whole. I will say this: there are a larger and larger group of people that are getting involved in this. A lot of the quote unquote tourists are falling off. The groups are dissolving or falling apart. You can kind of sort of see it on Facebook. I mean, like you said earlier, if somebody's batshit crazy and they got a digital camera, every picture they take is going to have an angel or a demon in it. And there's really nothing. And there's really nothing you can do about it. It's a free country. Post away, but just don't ask me what I think. Don't ask me what I think if you don't want to listen to what I've got to say. Anyway.
No, I agree. The one thing, though, I do completely 100%. Once you take on a case, that's your responsibility to give them some kind of comfort. Even if, like, we had a batshit crazy client, we really did. I mean, she took 300 pictures of herself a day. And, I mean, in these pictures, she's like, look, they changed my eyes. Look, there's a face over there. Look, there's a face over here. And, oh, my God, literally 300 pictures of herself a day. And I, was trying to say, before we continue, I really do, you should talk to a physician or something to help you process what's been going on. So I didn't feed into what was going on, but I didn't dismiss her either. And I really feel that's important to help lead them to the right place to go, because doing the investigation with somebody like that is not in their best interest whatsoever, I feel. That is my opinion. I would not go forward with an investigation. But she said, okay, I will. And I checked in with her a couple weeks later, and she still hadn't, but she was obsessed with the fact that her home was haunted. And honestly, we really didn't, while we were doing the consultation, we did, take some pictures. We did have a reporter with us, because it's what we do when we do a consultation. And, we picked up what could possibly be a couple of EVPs, but they weren't Class A at all. And we didn't pick up anything in pictures. So, I mean, I know it would take more hours to really find something if there was something there, but being the state that she was in, it wasn't safe. But it was still our responsibility to help her find, some way to get help. And even though we helped lead her in the right direction, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink, but at least try. Just don't wash your hands, but at least try. Do right by your client regardless of how you feel about them.
But you have to be careful there, too. We had one lady who was not right in the head, and her boyfriend was trying to help her, and I explained to him, everything that was going on, and I'm like, light a white candle. Well, he did under a lampshade, and then called me and accused me of trying to burn his house down. I had never been in their house, so he's the one who lit it. He's the one who put it under the lampshade, but it was my fault.
Wow. And then that's another thing, why it's interesting when you have teams. I don't know how many people on your team, but when we had team members, we have rules, regulations, and policies. And I'll be the first to admit I'm kind of a bitch when it comes to my business. You do things my way, or you're not part of it at all.
Right.
Because, I take precautions, and this is, personally professional, I take precautions, especially with investigating. You are not to be alone with a client. It's 9 times out of 10 your client wants to be there. And I understand you're in their home, and they don't know us any more than we really know them, other than what we've been conversing about previous to an investigation. That's why, I'm always telling people you need to be together, because if somebody does have PTSD, and this is where, psychology and paranormal gets a little black and, a little gray, because, okay, let's say somebody is sick, but they're, taking measures to help themselves, but at the same token, they really feel like there's something going on in their house. Well, if I do my evaluation, I feel in my gut that they can withstand an investigation and we go ahead with it. We still have to be careful, because you don't know what their triggers are. It could be at night and a flash goes off. If they have PTSD, that could take them back to a very ugly place and they could try to hurt you. Not intentionally try to do it on purpose, but they could hurt you. Or they could say, you know what, I had a diamond bracelet laying there. It's not here now. You took it.
Right.
That's why I'm always like, you need to be in teams. You always have to have each other's back, Yeah. And some people don't like it. They're like, well, I like to work by myself. And that's not okay because of things like that, being accused of trying to set somebody's house on fire. That's why you always have to cover your bases. That's why you always have to work together. And your experience is a prime example as to why you have to be safe. Because how nuts is that for them to say, oh, well, you tried to put a house on fire? Really?
Well, and I'm gonna be very honest with you, Tiffani-Beth. Me personally, I've really migrated from being a let's go help people kind of investigator to being more of a historical location, more of a researcher. Simply because I get very frustrated because I will demand responsibility of people. If you're going to ask me to come in, okay, I don't want to walk through your house and see your collection of water pipes. I don't want to walk through your house and see or go in your bathroom and the entire counter is covered in pill bottles with your prescriptions in them.
Sure.
And then you want to know why your house is haunted. Well, your house isn't haunted. You're just hungover, strung out, need to dry up a little bit. And then call me and tell me if weird things are still happening. But people don't want to hear that. They expect you to be able to walk in and go, praise Allah, fried chicken, here we go, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And with a camera crew.
With a camera crew. And it don't work that way. That's not how real life works, people. And if you want to clear your house, any ritual from that anybody does, the owner has to be there, or it means nothing.
Yeah.
And the owner has to take ownership of that. And it's when people don't want to take ownership of that, that's when you start having issues, I think. And that's why I do historical locations. I'd rather help the dead because the living are just jacked up.
I said it on a million occasions. I really love animals and the dead way more than I love living people.
Yeah.
Because at least, the dead can't really talk back too much. I mean, they do, but you don't hear it till later. And it's not like, you can have a real big argument. The other thing that I can't stand is when, investigators, like, I totally understand the owner being there, and they should be there. But it's when you involve children, and they don't need to be involved. I really hate that.
Yes.
And that's with the owner's insistence, or even, the team's going, well, yeah, it's totally fine. It's not fine, in my opinion. It's not fine. I would never, ever do it, ever, in a million years, ever do an investigation around a child at all, ever. And there's been a couple of occasions where we just refused to do an investigation because the owners were like, well, my child has to be there. I can't even think straight. Holy bananas. The activity is around them. Well, you know what? The best way to find that out is to separate them from the situation, isn't it?
That's right.
And if that's the case, then you need to involve your clergy or somebody else, because I'm not comfortable with that, because there's just too many things that can go wrong, and children are too impressionable, and I refuse to have that on my conscience. And I love kids far too much. I want to help them, but they need proper help. You know, I don't think paranormal investigators are any kind of therapeutic help for children at all.
Yeah,
in any way, shape, or
well, I mean, would you take your kids fire walking? You know, would you take your kids fire walking? You know, where you go walking across the hot coals. Would you if you wouldn't take them to do that, then don't take them on a paranormal investigation because they can get just as hurt.
100. I could not agree with you more, Eric. 100%. Like, children are so fragile, and it drives me crazy. And like you, we really don't have time to do private investigations anymore. And the last investigation we did was, I think, Penhurst, and that was at a John Tobin event. And that's pretty much what we just do now. We do events, and we do historical locations like you. Only once in a great while will we do a private investigation, and even then it's kind of like, do we have the time? Because like you guys, we run our own network.
Yeah.
It's very hard, you know, and plus sometimes it's just between all the muddying of the paranormal community, it's just too much.
Oh,
it's too much, and I've lost a lot of hope in the paranormal community too, so I don't think that helps the client much either. But when it comes to kids, I can't stand it when I see on my Facebook, oh, we took our kids to an investigation, they did really well, or we have an investigation that involves kids tonight. We're going to bring them a part of it. Like, what do you think you're doing? Do you think you're doing the kids a favor? Are you out of your mind?
I think the worst one was right after we had started our team, that group up in Kentucky who had the, 11-month-old out in the cemetery at like 3 in the morning.
That's right.
Unbelievable. Well, you know, I'll never forget, and this is one of the, you know, I never liked having kids part of it, like, you know, forcing them to become part of the paranormal community. I mean, it's different if they have a gift or something, and that's just natural for them, and that person, you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But the worst thing I hated was, you know, I read an article where a paranormal team came into a house in Florida, and there was a 13-year-old girl who had schizophrenia and depression, and the team was doing an investigation right around her, and the parents just stood there. So I believe that both the parents and the team are to blame. They said to the parents right in front of the girl, oh, it's a demon, and it's around the girl. She's bringing in a demon. You know what that little girl went and did? She set herself on fire because she tried to kill herself because she didn't want to bring any more harm to her family. That, to me, everybody should have been in jail.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like that, and that's my absolute, one of my worst fears. And that, I go back to planting a seed, you know, and you have to know your clients. And even then, sometimes you don't know your clients because maybe they're not being 100% truthful. You can only go on what is funny. And then if they're insisting to have their kid there, to me that's a big red flag, and I won't do it. And that's a big reason why. Like, she set herself on fire. You know, it just broke my heart to see that, and to see that the team was trying to defend what happened. You know, don't defend yourself. You did a shitty thing.
That's right.
There is no defending
and
that.
For people doing that. I'm sorry?
There is no defending that.
No, there's no defending that, and it makes it worse. And again, I'm not going to mention any names, but I see a person on Facebook all the time, and they're not even my friends, and I don't even know why their newsfeed keeps coming up on mine, Facebook, and that, you know, oh, we have an investigation tonight that involves a child, and, you know, I really believe it's demonic, and I have to be honest with the family. And there's people on there, oh, yes, you have to be honest. You have to be honest with the child. And, of course, I can't comment because I'm not their friend, but their newsfeed is showing up on mine.
Right.
And I'm just like, I freaking hate you. I hate you. You should not investigate. You know, and it's not, and you never know. It might, that one kid might be that one kid that does something to harm themselves because they think it's because of them that all this stuff might be happening or whatever. And it doesn't seem to bother this quote investigator. It drives me up the wall. Like, and this is why the parent community breaks my heart, because it's just not what it should be.
Well, and once again, like I said earlier, I put a lot of responsibility not only on the clients, but like you've mentioned, on the investigators too, or thrill seekers or whatever they claim to be. And as long as people know why somebody's there, as long as they're not claiming to be something they're not. You know, and here's the other thing: when they walk into somebody's house, if they don't do like what you mentioned, like if they don't do their pre-interviews and they don't have all their little ducks in a row, they could walk in there and say something. This is a demon, and the person could look them right back dead in the eye and goes, "Well, I'm pagan. We don't believe in demons."
Yep.
Or I'm Buddhist and we don't believe in demons. What the hell are you talking about? And that's when it kind of spirals, and that also makes us look terrible. People have to do the work, and I guess they don't get that. Like they said, they see all the advertisement that R2 networks do on Facebook, and they're like, well, that's got to be easier. They wouldn't just keep doing it. They don't understand the work that goes in behind it. Well, the same thing happens in the field with paranormal investigating. You have to be willing to do the work, people.
Yeah. I 100% agree. A lot of people, and it goes back to the media and just wanting that fame. You know, I don't know. Honestly, sometimes I just don't understand the thought process of these people. I really don't get it. I can't imagine how you can walk into a house or any place and be so carte blanche about it and have only fame on your mind and thinking, oh, maybe this will be the case, I guess, notarized, you know. I can't wrap my head around their thinking. And it's because of that they don't do the work, because they just think that everything will fall in place and, you know, they know everything. And that's, oh my gosh, you know what that makes me think of? We live in upstate New York, and we live in a relatively small town. And there was a paranormal team that came to our library and spoke. I didn't go because we had to do shows that night. But boy, I wish I had gone, because one of our friends went, and these people are doing a tour because they are paranormal experts. And I hate the word expert, because that means you know all there is to know about that subject. You need not know any more. There's nothing more for you to learn, which I think is the most ignorant thing ever, on top of everything else.
And impossible in the paranormal.
I'm sorry?
And that is impossible in the paranormal.
It's impossible. I mean, the world revolves and evolves every single day. New things come out. You know, new techniques, new answers, new everything to anything. And to say you're an expert, I think it's such an ignorant thing to say. And anybody who uses the word expert in any realm, actually, not just paranormal, but anything in life, I want nothing to do with you. Because that means you quit learning and you have nothing to offer me. I need people who are still learning so we can learn together and help each other. So if you tell me you're an expert, end of conversation.
Well,
usually that's the end of conversation.
That's like a paranormal professional. None of us are getting that six-digit paycheck. None of us are professionals.
Yeah, I'm sure you and Denny have to make time in the day to count all the paranormal millions that y'all are making at DTM, because I know Kim and I we go to bed with paper cuts on our fingers from counting all the $20 bills that go through our hands every day.
No, that's our bills.
Oh my gosh. You know, my fingers are just heavy with all the diamonds that adorn my fingers from all the paranormal millions I've made. It's just unbelievable. I hate to brag, but, you know, I could outdo Kim Kardashian any day. No, you know, I think you can act professional. You know, yes. More so ethical, maybe not professional. Ethical. You can be very ethical in the paranormal. You can have good ethics, and you can treat people with kindness and compassion and act professional. But paranormal isn't exactly a profession.
Right. You can act professional, but that doesn't mean you are a professional.
Exactly, 100%. But these people came and they said they were a professional paranormal team and experts in the paranormal field. And they produced all these pictures, and they were going through and how to say, you know, and how to use the equipment, and how, you know, they even said that I guess they invented some of the equipment that we all know they didn't. And these guys couldn't, I guess, spend any more than like 19 and 20, and here they're going to tour the country and, you know, wow people to me with their knowledge and whatever. But that's just what killed me. It's teens like that that just think they've got all the answers, and they admitted they've only been in the field for about a year. And I haven't heard about them since, by the way.
Yeah, funny how that happens, isn't it?
It is. It's interesting. And here they're supposed to be this big touring thing, and they're really big in the paranormal. Mind you, we're from the same town, and I've never heard of them. And I haven't heard of them since. But they're professional and they're experts, and, you know, they have a psychic on their team, and I guess the pictures they presented were, you know, my friend that went, she was like, I looked at these pictures, Tiffany, she goes, I saw dust. That's it. She goes, I saw dust, and any information they gave me was nothing new. It wasn't anything, and she goes, half the information they gave was inconsistent and false. She goes, I don't know who they think they're trying to scam. I'm like, they're scamming the public that's going to eat it up because they like this kind of entertainment. That's the thing. And she says, that's a good point. You know, so it's just things like that. And, you know, you go to these events, and I'm not saying I don't like the events, because I've made friends and that are very good friends now, and I love and respect them. But sometimes you go to these events, and you're just sitting around, and you have all these people who are like, I'm the best of the best. No, I'm the best of the best. No, no, I am. I'm the best of the best of the best of the best. And you're just like, you know what, ladies, you're all pretty. Congratulations. But, yeah, and that's what it ends up being. And it's really sad. You know, I mean, we had great friends like you and Tammy and a couple of other people, but even sometimes these events just make me really, really depressed and sad. Like, this is what it's become.
That's right. And all that we can do is just keep doing what we do. Because if you do it right, you don't have a conscience, and you don't have to worry about your conscience, because you know that everything you've done has been ethical, above board, and done the right way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My best advice to give anybody is, if you honestly, you know, don't take on something that you know you can't handle, or don't do something that you know you probably aren't going to do right if you don't know a lot about it. Do yourself a favor. Do the other people a favor, and just be honest about it. Don't try to be a hero when there doesn't need to be and cause more damage. Or don't lie about things. Just simply say, no, thank you.
That's right.
You know, that's my best advice to people.
Yeah. Well, Tiffany, as much as I hate to do this, we are coming up here on the top of the hour. I wanted you to make sure you have a chance to plug everything you guys have got going on over there.
Holy crap. Okay, well, don't forget, The Wicked Edge airs on Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Next Wednesday, I'm going to have on the Comedy Film Nerds. We're going to be talking about the documentary Earbuds, the podcast and documentary of the LA Podfest, and the worst and best horror movies ever made. Don't forget to tune into I Heart Shavo, System of a Down Basis, Shavo Order Jane, on 9 o'clock 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on Saturday night. Also, we're going to have a couple other really big announcements for what's the DTM Wicked Radio website. I'm also going to have on a couple of other really big names, so just keep an eye on that. And so some of us tune into other, you know, our other shows. We've got a bunch of paranormal shows. We've got a Wicked Weather show. We're going to have a music show joining us. There's a lot going on. And we're going to have you and Kim on our show here on the Wicked Edge. We're going to have you on.
Awesome. Just let us know.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll email you and we'll set up a date and time.
Super. And if I'm producing, Kim can be on. I mean, we got it covered. That's the great thing about couples doing this is you can share the workload and do it right.
Share.
Absolutely. Well, when we produce the show out, we're not here with you guys, so it's teamwork.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm sitting right next to my lovely co-owner.
Really?
Oh, you guys are so great. Thank you so much for having me on. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being part of the Penn family on the radio page. We love having you guys over there.
Well, we love being a part of your family, and thanks for, you know, you guys are also part of the DTM Wicked Radio Network family, and it's true, we are all families. We're all here for each other, and, you know, that's what it's about, spreading the love and making it happen.
Yeah, we both, I think both of our set of clans kind of put the fun in dysfunctional, don't you think?
Oh, honey, we are the epitome of dysfunctional. It's amazing. We make normal look bland.
Yeah, normal sucks.
Yeah.
All right, here we go, everybody. If you're going out this weekend, be careful, be safe, get permission, protect yourself,
Stay warm.
stay warm, and stay hydrated. That's something very important in the wintertime people tend to avoid. You have to stay hydrated, people.
Yeah.
Also, if you have animals, bring them in. It's getting cold. Bring them in, and if you see a stray animal, help it out, please.
Yep. And spay, and not to sound all Bob Barker, but spay and neuter your pets. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.